Story 1. A tenant in the spare room. I never advertised the spare room. After my divorce, I just locked the door and pretended the space didn't exist. 3 months ago, the electric bill jumped $40, then $60, then $100. I blamed the old wiring, the window seals, anything but the obvious. One night, I woke up at 3:14 a.m. to the sound of footsteps, soft, deliberate, pacing the hallway. Not my cat, not the neighbor's TV. I lay still, heart hammering, listening as the steps paused outside the spare room door. Then the knob turned. Slowly, the latch clicked. The door creaked open an inch, then closed again. Silence. The next morning the door was locked, exactly as I'd left it. No footprints, no scratches. I told myself it was sleep paralysis, but the bill kept climbing. I started recording audio at night. The first week, nothing but rain against the window and my own breathing. Week 2, faint scratching behind the spare room wall, like fingernails testing drywall. Week 3, a low murmur. Not words, just a soft, wet rhythm like someone breathing through a throat full of phlegm. I finally opened the door on a Saturday afternoon when the sun was high and I felt brave. The room smelled of damp plaster and something sweeter, like overripe fruit. The bed was made, the closet empty. But on the nightstand sat a single drinking glass, half full of cloudy water. A faint lit print on the rim. Not mine. That night the footsteps returned. Closer. They stopped at my bedroom door. I didn't breathe. The knob turned. Click. Creak. An inch. Then the door eased shut again. I stopped sleeping in my room. I moved to the couch, kept the lights on, played white noise. The bill hit $200 the next month. I called an electrician. He found nothing, no extra outlets, no shorts, no hidden devices. But he did notice something odd. There's condensation inside the walls, he said, tapping the spare room drywall. Like something's been breathing in there. I tore the drywall open 2 days later. Behind the plaster was a narrow cavity, barely 18 inches deep. No pipes, no wiring. Just a damp, stained sleeping bag, curled in the fetal position. It was warm, still warm, and beside it lay a cracked porcelain doll, face eyes hollow, smile twisted, rain-streaked from some leak I couldn't find. I burned the sleeping bag in the backyard that night. The doll I wrapped in plastic and threw in a dumpster 3 towns over. The footsteps stopped. The bill dropped back to normal. But every so often, when I pass the spare room, I hear the softest click of a latch. And I never open that door again. Story 2. The chair that moved. My grandmother's house had one rule after she passed. Don't to move the armchair in the living room. It faced the window, angled just so, as if she were still watching the street for visitors who never came. I inherited the place last spring. I kept the chair exactly where it was out of respect, mostly. But one evening I came home from work and found it turned slightly toward the hallway. Not much, maybe 5 degrees. I laughed it off as settling floorboards. The next night, it was turned another 10 degrees, facing the kitchen now. By the 3rd night, it was pointed directly at my bedroom door. I took photos each morning. The chair never moved while I watched, but every time I left the house and returned, it had rotated a little more. Always toward me, always waiting. I tried nailing it to the floor. The nails bent. I tried zip tying it to the radiator. The ties snapped clean overnight. One morning I woke up on the couch, Don't remember falling asleep there, and the chair was gone. Just gone. The spot where it had stood for 40 years was empty, the carpet slightly less faded in a perfect armchair shape. I searched the house. Nothing. No broken windows. No footprints. That night, I heard the familiar creak of springs from the hallway. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. I barricaded my bedroom door with the dresser. The creaking stopped outside. Then softly the sound of upholstery settling, as if something very heavy had sat down. I didn't sleep. In the morning, the chair was back in its original position, facing the window again. But the fabric was warm, and there was a faint, damp handprint on the armrest. 5 fingers, too large to be mine. I sold the house a week later. The new owners asked why the living room carpet had that perfect armchair-shaped discoloration. I told them it was from my grandmother. I didn't tell them she'd been dead for 6 years before I ever moved in. Story 3. The breath on the pillow. I live alone. Always have. So when I started waking up to the smell of someone else's shampoo, I blamed the vents. Old building. Neighbors smoke. Easy explanation. But the smell got stronger. Not just shampoo skin, sweat, warm breath. It was on my pillow. In my sheets. Sometimes I'd wake with my hair moved, as if someone had brushed it back from my face while I slept. I installed a nanny cam. Cheap thing from the internet. Motion activated. I pointed it at the bed. The first night, nothing. Just me sleeping. When it resumed, I was still asleep, but the pillow beside me was indented. Deeply. As if someone had rested their head there. No doors opened, but the indentation was real. And when I zoomed in, there was a faint heat distortion above the pillow. The cam stayed on the bedroom. Third night, the footage showed the bed empty. Then, slowly, the sheets pulled back on their own. Not fast, not jerky, just deliberate. Like someone climbing in carefully so as not to wake anyone. A mattress depressed in the middle. The pillow next to it sank. And then very faintly, the sound of slow, even breathing. I turned the volume up. Underneath my own distant snoring from the living room, there was another rhythm. Matching mine. Sinking, I moved out 3 days later. Left everything, bed, sheets, camera. Asked if I'd left a guest behind. There's still someone breathing in the bedroom, he said. I can hear it through the vents. I didn't answer. I just hung up. Story 4. The shadow in the mirror. I noticed it in the hallway mirror first. A shadow behind me that didn't match my movement. At first, I thought it was the overhead light flickering. But when I turned, nothing was there. When I looked back in the mirror, the shadow was closer. Not touching me, just nearer. It followed me room to room, always in reflections, never in real life. I covered every mirror in the apartment. Towels, trash bags, duct tape. The shadow disappeared, but the apartment felt heavier, like someone else was breathing the air, using it up. One night, I woke up thirsty. Walked to the kitchen in the dark. Past the bathroom. The door was open. I taped it shut. Inside, the medicine cabinet mirror was uncovered, clean, spotless. And in it, I saw myself standing there. But I wasn't moving. The reflection lifted its hand slowly, waved. I ran. Slept at a friend's house for a week. When I came back, every mirror was still covered, except one, the small one above the sink in the half bath. I'd missed it. The reflection was waiting, closer now, almost touching the glass from the other side. I smashed it. The glass shattered, but the reflection didn't break. It just stepped forward through the shards into the room. I haven't looked in a mirror since, but sometimes when I walk past dark windows at night, I catch a glimpse of something behind me, and it's smiling.